Felicia Michaels, my princess, has been entertaining audiences with a unique
Joey
style
Coco Diaz has
of
been rocking
provocative humor
comedy
since the
stages for
90s, all right?
15 years.
With her
You've seen him in
tongue-in-cheek,
films and
she's been
television,
exploring
but
such
his
topics
real
as the
patois,
dynamics
as
of
his
the
fond to say,
male-female
are the
relationships,
stories from
or
his
as we call them
past
here in
and
the
his
studio,
chaotic
dirty
views on
thoughts,
life that will make
and
this
the
podcast
proliferation
a different
of the
beast.
sensual
Raw
feminist.
pain and
She's a little
passion is how to
firecracker
really
rolled up, and that's
describe
why I
this
love her, and that's why you're going to love
New
listening. So
Jersey
tune in, all right?
Animal. Your wife is just cracking wise about you.
You know how that is, bro. Wives could fucking torture you to a way that you just don't even, fuck it. It's just another day. You know what I'm saying? What am I going to do?
I know Terry and me were sitting here talking, and you were all like sitting at the microphone. Like when you're at the microphone, you're ready to go. And I was like, we got to go because he's getting ants in his pants. And Terry's like, he is an ant hill.
Please. I put my hands once in an anthill. You ever fucking put your hands in one of those things by mistake as a kid?
How do you do it by mistake?
I was raking in Miami on my godfather's property, and I thought I was doing a good job, and I went to put my hands in to pick it up with cardboard, like you get two cardboards, and I did that, and fucking the ants attacked my hands. It was horrible. It's horrible. You gotta jump in the shower and they start biting.
How old were you?
7, 8.
Yeah.
Long time, short time.
Well, a good story never follows a sentence. I was raking in Miami. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was raking.
Nothing good can ever come out of that.
It was a good times. I used to go down and, I was a city kid. I was on 88th Street, fucking concrete. So I would go to Miami and spend like a month and I get to have a backyard and see how normal fucking kids live, with yards and pools and shit. It was pretty interesting. So we're back, bitches. Be in the Beast podcast. Felicia Michaels.
Joey motherfucking Diaz.
What's happening?
Oh, just stuff. Lots of stuff. But, nothing really.
I was noticing when I came in that your kids had a basketball, that they went to a basketball camp. And I asked you fucking questions, and you knew nothing about the fucking basketball. Like, I'm like, who was there? What coaches were there? Because that's big when you're a kid.
I have no clue.
You get to spend a week with, like, Kobe Bryant or a coach from Notre Dame or something. You get to ask them questions. And it's funny because my wife picked up the ball and was bouncing it. And I'm like, put the fucking ball down. She's like, it's a ball. And I'm like, no. They went to a basketball camp. When you go to a camp and you bring a ball home, that's like a fucking souvenir. Like, when I went to basketball camp, we would break in and take the other kids' shirts and shit so we would have extra shirts because they were souvenirs.
Right.
I went to, like, Boo's basketball camp as a kid. I went to 5 Star, which is, like, a really national acclaimed camp. But the camp that I got the most kick out of, and it's funny because we're going to go back to Pittsburgh, was as a kid I got talked into going to a football camp. And I didn't want to fucking go. I did not want to go. I was in the 8th grade, and I had just gone to offense. I had just gone to a 5 Star, and I had come home, and my buddy kept putting the bug in my head, come on. And at that time, it was 1980.
So were you automatically good at football when you were a kid?
Yeah, it was weird because I was always heavier than the time limit and the weight limit, so I couldn't play in the regular leagues. But when I moved to Jersey, they had like the semi-pro thing with these savages down in Union City by Edison School, and I would go down there and they'd tackle you. It was like flag football, but so I kind of learned the mechanics there. And then freshman year, I went out for a defensive end because that's what they said I was built on, and that's real easy. You just push the guy out of your way and run. You just pull the guy and fucking run, and you pick it up. It's just street stuff. If you played fucking flag football on the street, a two-hand touch, you already know the basics of it, but it's like it's like a natural talent. You have the feet for it, or you like hitting. Some kids like hitting. They just discover it, and they can be tiny, but they like hitting. So it's just real easy to pick up. And anything a kid picks up, we're sponges. When we're that old, we're sponges. If you play a Russian tape for every day while we're eating breakfast, we'll fucking pick it up. You know? That's just the way kids are. But,
I would like to play a Russian tape for my kids every morning at breakfast.
Yeah, like fucking Stalin doing a speech or something. It's fucking mind-boggling.
Totally random.
And when they get older, someday the speech will be on at a bar, and they'll be saying it, and somebody will say to them, how do you know that? And they'll go, my mother played it every fucking morning before I went. It's just stupid shit you pick up as a kid. But it was funny because when I went to Pittsburgh the other day on the plane, and again, Pittsburgh was so weird because it hit so many emotions. On the way there, I was thinking about Jack Lambert. Jack Lambert was a football player for the Pittsburgh Steelers that was fucking tough. He was fucking tough, but not tough like these UFC guys. You could shoot him and he'd still come at you. First off, he had no teeth.
Oh, really?
So he talked to you with no teeth in his mouth.
What year was this?
This is 19 fucking. This guy played on a world championship Pittsburgh Steelers from like 70 something to 81 or something. But he had a partner named Jack Ham, and they were just two fucking animals. And the day I realized how much of an animal Jack Lambert was, we're 13. You're 13. You walk into the shitter, which is the bathroom. They have all these stalls and stuff. And Jack Lambert's in the stall that has no door, and he's taking a shit. And he's got
Where's this at football camp?
at football camp.
Yeah.
And he's got shaving cream on his face.
He was one of your teachers?
Yeah, it was his camp. It was called
Oh.
offense, defense camp. But when you're there, you mingle with all these people. So like you see, like they'll have 4 weeks. So you pick the week where all your heroes are on. And you get to learn from the people that you fuck. Like I went to Joe Namath football camp. It was fucking great to meet Joe Namath because that was a pimp.
You got to meet Joe Namath?
I got to meet Joe Namath. He was a pimp. Me and my man Chucky McBreen went. He was a pimp. Joe Namath was a pimp. From the way he walked on the field, that was a walking.
Wow, you got to meet Joe
fucking
Namath
pimp.
when he was Joe Namath.
Yeah, but it was like 2 or 3 years after when he was
okay,
Joe
but still,
Namath.
that still
When he was
counts.
slinging white dick in fucking New York City, which is fucking bad to the bone. He was walking. This is a white guy that wore a mink.
Yeah.
Okay? Joe Namath was a pimp, and I got to meet him in the 8th grade, 7th grade. The guy I got to meet that
He
influenced.
wore a mink?
Not on the field, but
Yeah.
when he went out at night, like when they were winning in 73, when the Jets, when they were a fucking underdog and he fucking won a 13-point, he's a hero. Joe Namath could walk into any bar and take his dick out in New York City and somebody will suck it.
Yeah.
Even today.
You
today.
think?
Yeah, he's very handsome today. And
Really?
yeah, he's still old, but that's
Yeah.
Joe Namath. It doesn't matter. You're Broadway motherfucking Joe for
Think
life.
he's going to be in a nursing home? Like, bring it, bitch.
Bring it, bitch. Bring it, bitch. So here's this
Laying
Jack
in a
Lambert.
bed with some old woman hovering over him,
Shit.
him shoving her head down into his pants. You think that's going to happen for Joe
Fuck
Namath?
yeah. So here's this Jack Lambert. We're 13. We're going to piss. When you're 13, you still go in the stall. You don't want nobody to see your dick. You know what I'm saying? So you're still in shock. You're still very private as a kid, unless you have brothers.
It's true. I think so, yeah.
And next thing you know, I go to take a piss and brush my teeth. And Jack Lambert's taking a shit. And he's got shaving cream on his face. He's wetting his razor with the shit water and shaving.
Shut your pie hole.
This is what I'm talking
Shut
about.
your pie
And this guy was on the reel. He didn't
Shut
do it.
your
He didn't
fucking
tweet it.
pie hole.
He didn't tweet it.
Okay.
Or he didn't Facebook it.
I believe everything you've told me
This
up until
guy
this point.
was fucking nuts. And the people who are listening to this shit, he could hit. He would hit. And they had like a bunch of hitters, like Mean Joe Green. They had hitters on Pittsburgh. And
So there were no doors on the shitters?
well, this shitter had no door. It was like at an old college.
Yeah.
And this particular one had no door. And he was looking at the mirror like there was like from 10 feet
He
away.
was watching himself
So
do
shit
that?
and fucking dip the water. And we're looking at him with his dick out and everything. And he's like, what, guys? Good morning. Get ready to bang him out today. Like, he was just shaving.
Oh,
so this is
my
but
God.
his mannerism, like when I came back from that, I could truly tell you that I was touched. He did something to me. He brought like a little bit of an animal out of me. Like I had shunned it for a couple of years. When we moved to Jersey, I had to be a good little Spanish boy for my mother, you know what I'm saying? So it was just, he took the animal out of me again. He was the beginning of, he took something out of me. You know, like something. When we were on the field, he would say, dog, you could kill that motherfucker. Hit him like you mean it. Do me that favor. There was something about, like when I went home, I was different from my meeting with Jack Lambert. And those camps, you just meet. Like I went to 5-star basketball
Are you saying
camp.
that you think he helped you redirect your
Yes.
tendencies
At a certain
to
age, he really got to me.
towards-
Yeah, that whole week up there. And
the question mark? What would you call? Were you just angry? Were you full of rage?
no,
then,
I was.
or-
My mom was alive then. I was a little kid. And I just wanted
Yeah.
to. I wanted to play football and basketball, and I wanted to be good at it, just like any other kid. The kid I went up there wanted to be. He's dead now. The kid I went up there with. So I went up there with him, and we had a great time. And it was just. But he didn't know. You're getting me wrong. He didn't teach me how to be an animal.
No, I'm just
He
saying.
taught me
redirect
something.
it.
He taught me to be free.
Yeah.
He taught me to be free, which is a really weird thing to teach somebody. Don't worry about what's going on. Just play fucking football. All right? Just go out there and play. Don't worry. Don't worry about the tape on your ankle, which a lot of times I tell people, like people look at the little things. Well, don't look at that. Just fucking go. That's what he put, till today I had that quality. Like, who cares? Go. This is about football, guy. Who cares? Just go. And you're like, you're right. He was one of those guys. He taught you that nothing fucking mattered. What are you talking about? You're here playing football, bro. You're alive. You're breathing. What the fuck? Get out there and kill a motherfucker today. And you're like, wow, I'm 13. I'm getting a lust for life. He really had a lust for what he did. And when you see that, it fucking kills you as a kid. You're like, I'm doing this to get better grades. I'm doing this to fucking have a good time. That's what he taught me. So I don't want you to think that I went home. I had no facial hairs to shave. So I wasn't going to go home and, just something about him. And, but then I went to like other camps. I went to Superstar Basketball Camp. And I met the Hurley boys, which you don't know nothing about. They're the big, St. Anthony's is a big high school in Jersey. It's a powerhouse. I got to meet them and all the St. Anthony's kids. And I went to 5-star basketball camp, and I met everybody. I met the coach from Duke today, who was a coach at the Bronx then. So you meet all these people, and you grow with them, and they grow with you. And I used to write the coaches letters, because you're not allowed to have contact with a coach till your junior year in high school. They can't contact you. You could write them a letter, and they'll send you their workout. Every college has it.
Really?
My God, you have no idea. So let's say you want to go to Notre Dame. You could write that coach and say, hi, my name is whatever. I'm 10. I've been watching you since I was fucking 6, and I want to learn how to work out like you guys. Please send me a workout. I want to learn how to run faster. And they'll give it to their training coaches, and their training coaches will mail you a package. And I used to do that to every college.
Oh, really?
In the 8th grade. And I would hang their workouts, and I would learn basketball drills. When you're a kid, this is what you do.
Yeah.
This wasn't all about criminality when I was a kid. This is what was taken from me.
Right.
This was part of what was taken from me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't do anymore because now I had to make a choice between basketball or fucking eating. Last 2 weeks, I was in Pittsburgh, and I was in Arizona. And then last week I was in Vegas this weekend, and it was funny because I spoke to different people, and different people brought different things up of the podcast, and everybody brought up the same thing. They're like, we love your podcast for this and this and this reasons. So I knew they weren't bullshitting me, and I was thinking about how when we started the podcast, what our mission was. Like, we looked at iTunes, and everybody had all these hits and all these big-time podcasts, and everybody was trying to be funny, and all we wanted to do was just do a podcast and talk to people. And at first, people are advertising, you have smoke and mirrors and all this shit. And I always believed that I'm a firm believer in hearts and minds. Fidel Castro did it with Che Guevara. He won a country over with hearts and minds. You talk to people, one person at a time, and they believe what you're saying, and you have similar whatever interest, and that's how people listen to the podcast, and we listen to people. And it's so weird that I was reading something when I went to Pittsburgh. I made it a point to walk to the Roberto Clemente statue and touch his feet. And I went home and I was reading about it. And I was telling Felicia, a lot of people don't know this, that when he went to Pittsburgh, it was 1960-something. Let's be honest. They didn't like fucking spics. That's just the way life is sometimes. Today we have it with the Arabs. It's moved on. In the 50s and 40s, it was the Irish and fucking Italians. In the 30s, it was the Chinese. You always had a flavor. It's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. It's just how we've evolved over the years. Roberto went to Pittsburgh. That's the fucking tundra up there. That's baseball. That's football. That's the heart of football, baseball. That's fucking big time Pittsburgh. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's the Pittsburgh Pirates, And he went up there, and they didn't take to him. He wasn't that great of a player at first. They didn't take to him. But the management believed in him, and they changed his name. They said, maybe if we change his name to Roberto or Bob. That's what they changed it to. Bob Clemente.
Did they really?
Yes, they did, to appeal to Americans, to appeal. But this motherfucker started doing something. He figured something out. He's like, every time I get a hit, one of these guys comes up to me and shakes my hand. Because I get a hit when it's down and out. None of this shit in the first inning. When you got 3 guys on base, I'll push a fucking single and get this motherfucker going. Why clean off the bases? Let's keep the momentum going. It's a different type of ball player. People now want to see home runs. Then people just want to see action. We need action. Bam. And this guy hit 3,000 hits. Again, Felicia, you don't know much about sports. 3,000 hits in baseball is unimaginable.
3,000 hits over
like
your career?
hits over your career.
Yeah.
And he had tons of career left. He made some catches that were fucking spectacular, but he was a humanitarian. And all those people really liked him. Like, that team was amazing. And how I really had contact with that team was because one of the kids I went to Catholic school with, his uncle was a shortstop for Pittsburgh. Even though I was kind of a Met fan and Cincinnati Red fan, I still had close ties to Pittsburgh. They had Manny Sanguian, they had Willie Stargell, who used to hit these fucking balls from Pittsburgh to Canada. This fucking black dude was 6'4", 240. He was hitting. They had Dave Parker. They had Candelaria. That nigga was snorting coke in the fucking 60s. That was his name. Candy Candelaria. Are you fucking kidding me? Candyman. That's what they call him. The Candyman is pitching today. This motherfucker was letting people know, I'm snorting with two hands up in Pittsburgh. This was a team. Then they won, and then they won again. And that song, Sister Sledge, We Are Family, that was their fucking song. They just took it because they loved each other. But all that shit, the end of 73, he hit the 3,000 hits. And a lot of people don't know this, that he, there was
Bob Clemente did.
Yeah, but by this time, he was Roberto, bitches. By this time, the management said, hey, everybody's eating rice and beans in Pittsburgh. Go for it. So it was him, Manny Sanguin, and then he went to do a humanitarian aid out of his own pocket and all these baseball players to Managua, Nicaragua. There was a bad earthquake in 73 or 72. My dates could be inaccurate. And he went down there, and his plane got, and I still remember being a little kid and laying in bed and hearing it and just getting up and walking to my mother's bed and just laying down and just putting my head on my mother going, oh my God, Roberto Clemente died. She's like, I don't know what to tell you.
So he died, I know you were starting to tell me this outside.
Yeah, he died, and his plane got lost in the Bermuda Triangle. Yep.
Yeah.
Very sad. And they found like a tire. They found like a tooth, they never found. But the sad thing was the catcher on that team was his best friend, and he would go out to that ocean and sit there for hours and just wait just to see if something would come back, would float. I mean, they did a thing on him, Real Sports. He still has it. He doesn't believe Roberto's dead. He's like, I think he found an island or something. I mean, it was just fucking amazing. So when I think about all this shit, like, you always have a shot at something because you could always, the expression is not win people over, but you could always get your point across. It's really weird. He just, there was a language barrier. The only way he could get his point across was by winning. Justin Bieber was at the UFC last night.
Shut the fuck up. No way.
Justin Bieber, Rihanna, Jenny McCarthy.
Oh my God, UFC is so huge. Oh my God. Wow, the UFC really is amazing.
It was just packed. And I knew Rihanna was going to be there because I seen her, not bumper sticker, but the fucking billboard when I got off that she was having a party after the UFC. So I'm like, look at this shit.
Wow.
So yeah, the UFC was fucking crazy. But one of my heroes from the is a kid now from the UFC. His name is Carlos Conduit. This fucking kid knocked this fucking Korean out last night with a knee, and this kid was tough. Do you come, Kim? But that's, kids got to have heroes, man. And if they're the right heroes, you got to have the poster, the Julius Erving. You got to have a poster of somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I used to have heroes, through books, like the type of girl I wanted to be. I think we talked about it before when I went and did the gig at the Island of the Blue Dolphins. That was one of my favorite books of all time because it was about an Indian girl that's on this little island that got left behind and how she has to survive against everything bad that happens to her. You know what I mean? So I always had like heroes in that sense. Like when I grow up, I'm gonna just be a badass. Cut to stripping at the Peppermint Lounge.
Stripping at the Blue Wino or the Blue.
GIs out of their hard-earned money.
Fucking crazy what you think about when you're a kid.
But but having a hero definitely is an awesome thing, and I'm glad my kids got the opportunity to go to basketball camp.
Sure.
But I have to tell you, when you yelled at Terry, "Why are you bouncing that basketball?" I was like, "This motherfucker did not just tell his wife to put that ball down."
Yes, I did, because I don't want.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't
Terry.
want one of your boys to run out and have to say it to her. Put my ball down. I just went to basketball camp.
You think my boys would ever say that? Come on.
Do you know who touched it?
You've got a really bad perception of how kids are because you were such an only child.
Yeah, I was an only child when I was a kid. I loved it.
Spoiled.
But it was funny, but it wasn't even about being overly spoiled. Like, when Bruce Lee died, I would come home every night and light a fucking incense for a Buddha that I had. And if my mother ever touched that fucking Buddha, I would have a nightmare. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's just certain things you don't touch as a man.
Totally can
You understand me?
that.
I mean, and I go to basketball camp, and you put bleach on my basketball camp shirt. Like, one time my mother made the mistake to put, she was a fucking Yahoo. She put bleach in it, and I got a little bleach on my Booze basketball camp shirt. I mean, I had to sit the bitch down.
Yeah.
I had to sit the bitch down and let her know what time it was.
No,
like,
I can
you don't seem
understand
to
that.
understand. Because in my house, I had that type of relationship. Like, listen, don't touch it. Just don't touch it, all right? My mother had that relationship with me, and I had that with her. Listen, yours is not the reason why. Don't touch it. Don't go back there, all right? That's it. That's all you need to know. And I was one of those people in the same way. Like, you have certain things and you have certain things.
I had this memory as you were talking about that. One of my first boyfriends I had, his name was Freddie when I was 13, and his mother was the biggest Elvis freak on the planet. They lived in a trailer park in Fountain, Colorado, and his father was in the army and his mother was German, so my mom was friends with her mom, and that's how we all knew each other. And you would walk into the trailer and it was like a fucking, like, it looked better than fucking Graceland, okay? She had more shit in there than Graceland, okay? And it was taken care of a lot better. And then so me and him started dating. I mean, as far as you can when you're 13. And we, like, one time found these bushes, and we crawled under these bushes, and we were totally making out. He was, like, finger banging me. And then we hung out, and then we both went home. And then it was the day Elvis died. And we called each other up, and we're like, I can't believe on the day that Elvis died that I was in the bushes getting fingered. You know what I mean? So now when everyone brings up Elvis to me, I always think about
getting fingered in a bush.
I got fingered in a bush. It feels like, you know, that just flashes in my mind. That I felt so guilty that I was enjoying life the day Elvis.
August 7th, 1977,
yeah.
or something like
that.
that.
It was in summertime before
Fuck
school.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, in August when you're 13, 14, and get super hot.
You know how I remember that?
You shouldn't be hanging out with.
You know how I remember that?
Were you fingering a girl in the bushes the day Elvis
Fuck
died?
no. Listen, man. I was supposed to go to the Superstar basketball camp, and at that time, I was hurting for cash. It was $160. I'll never forget. That's funny you just said that. And I was hurting for fucking cash. Now, my stepdad was a money mogul, but cheap. But the thing he had a gift for hiding his money really fucking good. And at 12 and 13, I would clip him at every opportunity I can. He had this money hidden under the bureau in rubber bands, and I would take like $100 bill out. And I would go up and buy like bicycle parts and shit. And I remember that money was for, my mom and him went on trial for bookmaking. And the attorney at that time, his name was Sam DeLuca, and he was this kinky fucking attorney. But he was the best. He's still, right now at this time, if you Google him, he's representing the Rosado brothers in New Jersey in some mob trial thing. He's amazing. He got Carmine Balzano off on the gun thing when he shot the guy. He's brutal. He had my dad for years. But everything with him is about money. There's no bullshit. There's no, listen, you shot somebody. We got two options. You can either go to jail for 9 years or give me $300,000 and you'll get probation for a year. I know the DA, we'll pay this right down. And that's what my dad did with this guy. So he would put away certain money for this guy, and I found out where the stash was. And he had rubber bands around it. He would put hair around it. Like, he would put a little piece of paper in the middle. And because I had 8 hours to finagle him. It wasn't just a quick hit and run. I had like just 8 hours to take it apart, look at it with my mind, and dissect it.
Jeweler's glasses
I had the jeweler's glasses. I mean, it was amazing. And, you know, he found out about the money, yelled at my mom, and who could it have done it? My mom was like, I have no fucking idea. And they're like, it had to be him. My mom was like, don't point at my fucking son. I'll kill you, motherfucker. He didn't take your money. And I'm giggling in the back, you know. But this one particular Sunday, he came home in a great mood. And I'm like, how am I going to go to this fucking basketball camp? I'll never forget this. I was 12 or 13. I go, how the fuck am I going to go to this basketball camp? And he pulls up with ice cream or something. He's like, what are you doing? You want to wash the car? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, let me go upstairs and change. And I'm like, he's going to leave his pants hanging up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to mug this motherfucker. So sure enough, we go downstairs and we're washing the car. Now, he was smart, so he knew if I disappeared for a minute, he was just going to watch me, you know. But something happened. He's like, go get some lemonade. And I went right upstairs and went right to the pocket and just pulled out whatever was there, and it was $400 bills. And I put the rubber band back, and it was $400, and I hid it, like not in my room. Like I had to hide it outside under a rock so he would never find it. With a piece
of hair in it.
Oh, no hair. No. I hid it like, I think I had something outside like rocks, and I put the 400 under the bricks, like the masonry bricks, and I went back and brought the lemon. And the next morning I woke up and went to Jersey State, took the bus by myself, and on one bus. I didn't think my mom knew where I was going. But when I got there, they had just said, Elvis just died. Like, that's the camp. That's the week I went to basketball camp. And then the next day, it was in the Daily News. Elvis dies, you know, whatever. And I never forget that I went to Superstar basketball camp the week Elvis died, and I mugged Juanito because I mugged him good for $400. You ever mug your parents, Felicia? You ever mug your mom for a quick 20?
No, not really. No,
That's amazing.
No.
I had a friend that would mug his dad every night, and he would say, you guys got to come down. come down, because when you talk to my dad, keep him in the kitchen and I'll mug him. And they were fucking hysterical. We get in the car and he'd go, I got my mother for 60 and I got my dad for 80.
my God.
That's 200. And my dad gave him, and they would give him $60 a night to go out. Like his parents in high school would give him,
really?
he was a bookmaker, the dad. And then one time we were there on a Sunday and nobody was home and he's like, wait a second, let's get some ice cream. Went in the freezer and he had Breyer's ice cream. And when we opened up the ice cream, it was just filled with 20s. And he kept mugging that box of 20s for about a year until his father caught him. Like, looking for
But let me ask you this story, because you said about that your stepfather and your mother were they on trial?
Yeah, they had. Well, they didn't go on trial for bookmaking. They paid it off and they got off with it.
What? So tell me about that.
When I was like in all my life, they did. My mom always did numbers. Numbers is the last three numbers of the pari-mutuel at any given track in New York City. So the numbers come out of Belmont, Aqueduct, and Yonkers. In the summers, they come out of the Shore track. I don't remember.
And is it still that way?
It's still that way, but it's not big no more because of the pick three. This was an illegal numbers system that in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, people were making 25 grand a day doing numbers. 25 grand a day. It's that big in the ethnic societies, in the Italians, Irish, Puerto Ricans, blacks. It's very, very big. $1 will pay you $500 that day. No taxes, no paperwork, no nothing. $600. $10 will give you $5,000. $20 will give you $10,000. So after my dad died, my dad's business was heroin. And after he died, my mom just stuck with the numbers. But my mom was very fucking good with numbers. She was very good with numbers. So she had a couple banks. Her bankers were, I think it was, I told you about that, how I would sit and yell the numbers when I was a kid. A lot of people don't know about that. And
but was she then married to your stepfather?
so when my dad got out of prison, and they got married, my stepdad, to say, he was involved in numbers in New Jersey, which is amateur shit, because this is how political numbers are, and this is how big of the cops are making off it. In New York City, in numbers is a ticket. If you get caught doing it in Jersey, it's a felony. You get caught gambling in Jersey, it's a fucking felony because of Atlantic City, because they don't want you to gamble. So New York has always been lenient. So you always have your bank in New York, because the cops will tell you when they're coming. They'll tell you, hey, we're coming next week. Have 800 there. Have some paperwork out. We'll arrest you and we'll give you a ticket and you're out of there. So when my dad died, my mom became really big with numbers. So when he got out of jail, my mom said, all right, you could work the bank in the Bronx and take it over. My mom gave it to him as a gift. So he was taking it over. My mom handled the Bronx and Brooklyn. And we had a little thing in Jersey, but it was a satellite office in Jersey. You can't get caught with calculators, nothing. So I grew up in that fucking angle. They had a bar, and I told you the story when the cop got killed in the bar. After that cop got killed, not in the bar, but he was a shakedown cop. He was shaking down people. It opened up a lot of doors. So one of the bars they focused on was my mom's. And my mom was involved lightly in drugs. Like, let's say if Felicia had a kilo and Terry wanted to buy it, she'd put you together, and then she'd get a percentage or something like that. But that was it at the time. Her main goal was the bar and the numbers. Since they were they tried to go after her for the numbers, which was a felony. And while going for the numbers, they got her for a phone conversation that was made. That's how they came in. They said that somebody made a phone conversation on a payphone. We had a payphone on the premises to do a drug deal, and that's what made them come in. So I'll never forget that they came in that night. Like I was at karate, and I'll never forget that I went to the bar. I used to go to the bar, eat dinner, and then go home at 9 and go to sleep. And that night I got there, and my stepdad's like, dog, take $20 and go to the Chinese restaurant. And on the way back, see if there's a white car on the corner. If there's a guy sitting on that car. And sure enough, there was a guy. My dad took me, we went for a walk, and we went to all the other Cuban people that were involved in that cop murder and told them, clean out your house, the cops are coming. So we walked. That's how good my dad was. He didn't trust telephones. My dad wouldn't even trust a telephone when it was hung up. He said that the feds could listen to you even though it was hung up. So he wouldn't talk in a room with a telephone. So he walked. And in every place that he went to, he dropped off money, he took off his jewelry, because he knew we were going down. So by the time we got back to the bar, it was like midnight, like 20 minutes after we got back, they kicked the door down. It was like the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office and the feds. So they arrested my mom on narcotic trafficking, but it didn't stick. It couldn't stick. It was just, it's like if I sell a kilo of cocaine off of your phone. What do you give a fuck? It got nothing to do with you. And I can see if it was your house phone, but it's your business phone. Got nothing to do with you. That's an open fucking thing, 24 hours. I can't control that. Get out of here. But they arrested her for bookmaking. The cops took me home that night. I was probably 12. And they took me home. I had the keys to the house. And I went home. I turned the TV on. I ate because I had to wait for, they told me, we'll call you. Somebody will call you. And about 8, they called in the morning. And I went to the police station and got my mom. They bailed out. And then right from that police station, we had to go meet DeLuca. Sam DeLuca is the attorney's name. I'll never forget this. We walked in. My mom, me, and him sat down. My mom and my dad hadn't slept. And basically, Sam said, here's the fucking deal. You got called for trafficking, booking our numbers. The trafficking is gone. I've already contacted. It was 9 in the morning. He's like, I already contacted the DA, the judge, everybody. We're in. You went to your preliminary hearing this morning. They charged you with bookmaking. So they told my mom it was $200,000. It was, I think they were looking at 6 years. But they told my mom right out, $200,000 for, we get you erased and it's probation. $100,000, you got to do 3 years. $50,000, you got to do 4 years. That's it. Conversation's over. The rest is up to you. Well, what? No. You got $200,000, you walk. There's no jail time. There's no probation. When you go to court, it's all taken care of already. You just, and you'll get 6 months probation and a slap in the hand. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what we did. It wasn't no trial. We just paid.
How old were you at that point?
12, 11, 13. Yeah. My mom died when I was 15, so it had to be before that. So It was all those years. So I got to see it firsthand, going to court and the whole thing.
What was the hardest part about that? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know.
Then another time, this was the hardest one. Right after my dad and her split up, now I was a freshman in high school, and it was the summertime. I remember Carmine Balzano called me at my house, which he never did, and he goes, hey, come on over here. I want to talk to you. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, come on over here. I want to talk to you. And he goes, tell your mom there's some people headed over there to clean up a little bit and get it ready for them.
Oh, really?
So I just hung up the phone, woke my mom up and said, Carmine called. She said, there's some people headed here for you to clean up the house. My mom got up and went downstairs. By the time I was walking out of my house, making the right onto Patterson Plank Road to walk to Carmine, I could see the cop cars coming down my hill with their lights on.
Yeah.
So let's say that New Jersey wants to come and get Felicia. They just can't come get Felicia. They got to call fucking Valley Village Police Department and tell them they're going to come arrest you. And then they come accompany you. So that cop was wired. So they call the house and go, Felicia, I got the feds here. They're on their way. Click, and they hang up. So that time they got us for bookmaking. And that time that was a bigger narcotics charge. They didn't find nothing in the house, but they did find something. And by that time my mom had lost the bar because after that arrest, it was ABC put the license on probation for a year, and the bar had just gotten a bad reputation, so people stopped going. And then the second arrest, we paid our way out of it too, and that killed my mother. That was like $100,000. That killed my mother. That was the end of. That was the beginning of the end. How did I feel, Felicia? It was a part of doing business. I think the first time they kicked my mom's door down, I was probably 4 or 5 in New York City. They kicked our door down on 89th Street. You know, so I was pretty much used to it. You sit on the couch and you call the attorney, you keep your mouth shut. That's it. You know, my mom raised me to keep my fucking mouth shut. Just keep your mouth shut. You don't know nothing. Just sit straight and watch TV. It's got nothing to do with you. Everything is agreeing with you. Everything's good.
Things
You're
are
back.
good. Yes, I went to a 4th of July party yesterday, and I baked a cake, and it took me 2 days to make this motherfucking cake. And the outside was beautiful. It looked like a flag, and it was 6 layers. And I did all the layers in red, white, and blue, thinking, you know, like that'll be like a surprise when people cut into it, you know. And but the baking, although it tasted good inside, it looked like the Mexican flag. You know what I mean? Like America on the outside, Mexico on the inside, yellow, green, red. It just looked like a circus cake. Like as you ate it, you were like, doo, 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 doo. It was just the goofiest cake, but it tasted really good. But it was
I smelled it.
looking.
I fucking smelled it the other day as you were baking it, and it devastated my senses. I was fucking starving. And it was one of those things.
Oh, by the way, I wasn't baking then. I farted, but my farts smell like
tremendous.
fresh baked
I don't
cake.
give a fuck if it attacks your senses a different way. It doesn't matter to me. But the funny thing was that it smelled so good. I wanted to eat it. I didn't know what it was, but I didn't know whether it was pancakes. I didn't know whether it was a certain type of French toast. It just smelled fucking yummy.
Could have
And that
been
was
a
the only
fart.
thing I missed in the party. It wasn't no fucking fart. Farts don't smell that way.
What about if mine did, though?
What are you going to do? You're very lucky, but that's 1 in a million. The rest of them smell like shit. You know what I'm saying? Well, you kidding. Every once in a while, I ate a lobster tail the other day. When I farted, it smelled like a lobster in the room. That was one time. You know what I'm saying? The rest of them smell like shit.
My one son eats so much sugar that when he farts, it always smells sweet. And then he'll deny that he farted. And me and my other kid will be like, we know it was you. Sugar fart, sugar fart.
Sugar
and he's
fart.
like,
You can smell
knock it off with that now.
It smells like a sweet tart.
Yes.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
How do we even get on this subject?
I don't know.
We're back, bitches. Be in the Beast podcast. Felicia Michaels.
Joey Diaz.
What's happening, you sexy animal?
Well, but you did not come to the party.
Nah, I didn't want to go to no parties on the 4th of July. I wanted to relax. But it's funny. Where are you going next week?
Edmonton, Canada.
Edmonton, Canada.
Yes.
And it's pretty funny that you're going to start your little journey. You've been down for a couple of months.
Strip. Yeah.
On the comic strip in Edmonton, Canada. And then after that, you go to Rick whatever's House of Blues or House of Haas in Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis, but that's next month. We're thinking
Right. No,
yeah.
but the funny thing is that you're going to start going out a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny how when I first started going out this year, after the podcast, I started bumping into certain people. Yeah, I listened to the podcast. I enjoy it, whatever. But we took it to another level, and I think that's what's going on with most of these things that I never realized would happen. And I just thought about this on the drive here, how when I really want to talk about this again, I'm stuck on Pittsburgh. When I went to Pittsburgh the first night, I'm sitting there after my set, and I'm in the back. I'm covered because it's humid. I'm fucking covered. I'm covered in sweat, and I'm just trying to air out. And some people come over and, hey, can we take a picture? And we're talking. And this one guy comes out and stands next to me. He goes, hey, how you doing? He puts his hand out. He goes, I'm Monkey Todd. And I go, oh, my God, Monkey Todd. Just some guy on Twitter.
Monkey Todd?
Yeah, his name is Monkey Todd. Just some guy on Twitter that enjoys the podcast, always says shit, like on Twitter, hey, great podcast, Felicia was funny, whatever. He goes back and forth. He always says something funny. If he sends me a video, it's always money. It's always like a music or something. He's just a neat guy. He wrote me a Gmail on the Beauty and the Beast Gmail, But it's funny, like his name is Todd, but on Facebook, he calls himself, on Twitter, he calls himself Monkey Todd. And it was so weird that when he came over and said, hi, I'm Monkey Todd, I stopped what I was doing and hugged him because it's like I knew him for a year or two.
Oh, really?
It's like I knew him for a year or two, and we hugged and we looked at each other, and you never really, you look at the picture on Twitter, and then you look, Twitter's picture is the size of a fucking nickel, so if you need glasses, you're fucked. And I'm looking at him, and all of a sudden, like, I didn't think nothing of it. He gave me a Charles Bronson movie.
He did?
He gave me a triple feature, The Mechanic, the fucking animal.
Shut up,
Yeah.
he did?
Yeah, it was really cool, and we talked for a little while, but it just wasn't him. There were other people that came up to me and said, hey, I'm Chris, whatever, too, from Twitter. And it's so weird that Twitter, with the podcast and everything, and I don't know if it was supposed to be like this, or this connection, or this is what they really intended, it's become the extension of the pen pal. Like the pen pal has become extended now. You finally get to meet. It's more personal than the pen pal. Did you ever have a pen pal when you were a kid? Knowing you probably had some convict with a 12 fucking foot cock or something like that, and you sent them lollipops once a month or something.
It was mandatory in 3rd grade where I grew up.
Yeah, you always had, like, I didn't really have a pen pal, I don't even know. I think I had a pen pal years later. Remember you went somewhere and found, like, some kid that, was missing an uncle, so you became his pen pal or
Right.
something.
No, I had a pen pal in Japan.
we all had a
but just one time.
Yeah.
We just did
Right.
it one time, then we're
one
like...
time. That's it. It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But because Twitter is shorter, that's what it's the extension of. It's just they should just call it fucking pen pal. Pen pal 2011, because that's what it's become. And when you meet these people, it's like you know their mind. Like, I don't know what their flesh is. I don't know what they do for a fucking job. I don't know what the fuck they do, nor do I care. I got to meet their mind.
Right.
So it's really weird. That's why when I got here today, I said, Felicia, you got to do me a favor. You got to stop getting on Twitter, because I just found the experience. I didn't know it was an experience. People say it's a marketing tool or whatever. I don't want to use it as a marketing tool. I want to use it to communicate with other people that maybe we could... Listen, when the fuck do you want to talk to anybody and you want them to say more than 140 fucking decibels or so? That's what Twitter is. You can't say more than 140 fucking characters. That's like 6 words. That's perfect.
But
6 for
would you
you.
rather have a few people that always say more than 140 characters to you, or a million people that can say whatever they want to you but in 140 characters?
I just want people that can say what they need to say in 140 characters, and it'd be fucking cool as shit.
I know you were all over me, Joey. Joey's like, you gotta get on the Twitter. You get up in the morning, you eat your oatmeal, and you say, I'm eating oatmeal and I'm scratching my pussy.
It's because
do that. Do me a favor, Felicia. It helps you. It helps me. It helps the podcast. You gotta talk about your pussy a little bit when it twitches. When you're doing so, are you driving? It twitches. Post it.
Felicia's getting the accent and everything. It was my anniversary. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I didn't know.
We were together 11 years, 4th of July.
Oh,
You know, and she didn't say nothing to me. Terry's cool as fucking breeze. She didn't say dick to me. I decided to do it on my own. I said, if I come back Sunday, I'm going to be tired till 10 o'clock at night. And I'm not really going to give her anything. Then one day, we got one day, and then she goes back to work. And if I get her all fucked up Monday, then Tuesday, she's going to go to work tired. So I said, I'll just come home Saturday. I don't need to be in Vegas. I really don't, you know. And I came home. We didn't do much. We went to a fight Saturday night. Went to Eddie's and watched the fights. And we got some steaks or something and ate them. And then Sunday we messed around and we went shopping. And just we got this lobster tail, a whole lobster, and we boiled it and we put it on the grill. You know, we got lobster for $25, and we just did simple shit. And I really, really had a good time. But nobody put a gun to my head. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Nobody. She didn't even put a gun to my head. I really wanted to be with her. I really, really wanted to be with her. And it's so funny that when I first, this is something you never repeat, when I first hooked up with my first wife, you know, we were together as a couple, okay? And it was rocky. You know, she was going to school, and I was selling cars and snorting fucking a pound of blow, and she didn't know. She knew, but she didn't. She just thought we were getting high on the weekends, but I was getting high all the time. And then we were just about to break up. I mean, we were right there. We just weren't clicking. I just wasn't into it. And boom, I got arrested. So now she felt committed. So, you know, she stuck it out with me till I came out of fucking the county jail. And then I don't know what happened. After the county jail, I gravitated towards her and she gravitated towards me. But Felicia, I could look in the eye and tell you the truth. I don't know if there was love there. It was more than necessity. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then, boom, I got sentenced to prison. So now she was committed now, and I was committed. And I guess when I went away, when you don't see somebody, you create a type of love in a way. I mean, at that point, we had been together maybe 6 years, 5 years when I got arrested. Now we're together like 4 years. Who the fuck am I lying to? And it was just weird. I thought I loved her. When you're 20 and 21 and 23, you don't fucking know what love is. You really don't. And you don't really know what marriage is. You know, you think you just marry somebody, they do laundry, they suck your dick, you come home, you bring home a paycheck, whatever. You don't really have an idea. You don't really know that it's a great fucking relationship. It's a friendship, you know. Mm-hmm. So it was just really weird. I went to prison, I came out, and all of a sudden now we're kind of, and boom, she gets pregnant, dog. And what do you do when somebody gets pregnant? You got two options. You could bust out the hanger, or you could walk down the fucking aisle. And I made the mistake at that time. Again, right. I was young, and I walked down the aisle. And in your heart, Felicia, you always think that it's going to get better. You're like, maybe I don't love her now, but in time with the kid, we'll love each other, you know? Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, as soon as we got married, walked down the aisle, went back to the party, as soon as we got on the plane to that honeymoon, I knew it was over. I knew I had made a mistake. Yeah. On the plane, I looked at it and I'm like, oh boy, I made a fucking mistake. But now what do you do? And between you and me, this is probably what 60% of people do after they get married sometimes. They fall into this trap. They have the kid now. They think in the back of their mind the relationship's going to get better, but it doesn't, and you fucking stick it out until one of you taps out from the pain, or one of you runs out, or one of you does something stupid, and then everybody's unhappy. Instead of, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the fuck.
Instead of taking care of business from the beginning, you mean?
Well, I didn't know at that age. But when I was a kid, my mother used to always tell me if something sucks in the beginning, it's going to suck all the way through. You know what I'm saying? I forget how she used to say it in Spanish. And it always applied to that shit. Come here. You see that? We're not going to do that deal, because the deal was shitty from the beginning, and it's going to be shitty the whole way through. How many times have you done a comedy weekend and they pick you up and right away it's a condo and you're like, this is all downhill, and it does go downhill. It don't get no fucking better. So trust me, if it sucks in the beginning, 9 out of 10 is going to suck all the way the fuck through. And I didn't put that correlation together towards marriage. Yeah. You think that about deals or about Chinese meal or something. You never think about it as towards marriage, you know, and it just got worse. And that's what my buddy was kind of telling me in a way, that's what had happened to him.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't tell him my true feelings, that I'm embarrassed about that now. I married somebody and wasn't really in love with them.
But like you said, you have to go through that to learn that lesson sometimes. You know?
But it was very embarrassing because I
Shut
felt...
up, Felicia.
No, in the first time in my life, I felt like it was such a heavy burden on me because I felt like I'd used somebody. And I don't like using people. It was taught to me early on.
Right.
So do you understand what my feelings were towards it? Back to homie's question, he was talking about how, what keeps you together, or the passion, or whatever. And with me, it's no passion. I don't open up any car doors, and I don't play the fucking guitar. She just knows I love her. You know what I'm saying? She just knows I love her, and I'm on my best behavior at all times, and I respect what we have. And, I'm still a wild man. If a blowjob happens to fall out of the sky and land on my dick, what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to be on the fucking phone calling you, asking you to meet me somewhere or something. And I hope that day never comes, to be honest with you, because I couldn't handle it. I could never really handle it in my heart, knowing that somebody licked my disgusting nuts and I got to go home or something. Just the point of it. And I think that if you stay true in your heart sometimes, I don't know. I don't know what the difference is between the two marriages. Yeah. I just know I'm happy, and the main thing is I want to be home. Some people, I know what it is not wanting to be home, I know what it is to want to be home. And boy, it's a big fucking difference, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a big fucking difference when you want to be home and when you don't want to be home. Before you go home, after you had 3 drinks, after you had 8 hours worth of work, after you put up with the bus and this, and you still don't want to go home, you want to smoke another cigarette before you walk in that door. That ain't right.
No.
That ain't right. And we've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what we're going through at the time. Somebody was telling me recently that they had a fucking itch. They lost 30 pounds, This friend of mine, his chest hurts. I'm like, dog, that's that fucking pain inside. It's not gonna go away till you break that motherfucking rusty cage. Chris Cornell, 1994. And roll. Insane! Rust that rusty cage, motherfucker.
Thank God you shook that up.
What's happening, Felicia Michael? So I don't know what, I don't even know what the guy's name was. I just thought it was a great answer because, I don't know, a great question, because all I know is either they want to make you be home or they don't want to make you be home. And everybody knows what that feeling is like. Yeah. It could be a lover, a boyfriend, a mother, a father. If you don't want to be home, you don't want to be home,
Relationships are hard, Joey. It's hard to navigate.
That's why you keep your motherfucker in check. You got him on the activity part, the checklist. You got to work yourself up. You know what I'm saying? You put him in the boyfriend realm for a while, but then I know you got him on 90-day suspension now with the injury and shit. No. You can't give him that ass, so you got him on 90-day suspension. But it's very funny how they're very tough.
But this is what worries me about marriage, because I was in a sexless marriage. So my big fear is if I get serious with someone, then the sex will suffer. So I know I must look crazy to people because I'm always going around to people that look happily married, like, how's the sex? You guys still fucking? What's going on? Can you give me a score? Is it like once, twice a week, once a month? I could do like one really kick-ass time every 3 months. That would be fun, blow it out, Like, I want that information. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is average? Could someone please tell me what is average so I can judge my life?
It's funny. When I first got married, I wanted to fuck her every day. But we had no relationship.
Yeah.
I used to fuck her in the middle of the night, put in her ass by mistake. She'd bitch at me for 2 days. Try to fuck somebody in the dark,
Wait a minute.
You try to fuck them in the dark and they're snoring. You gotta.
How many times has that actually happened to you? I know we talked about like the one time. Twice.
Twice, I think.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know. It's dark. I was young. You don't know the fucking holes. You don't know nothing when you're 25. You don't know nothing. An asshole feels like a pussy from the dark. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, really?
Especially if you got a hairy asshole with long hairs. You don't know what the fuck's going on. Those zombo hairs that come out of your ass like that. It looks like they fucking.
Oh my God,
like
Joey.
A fucking kazoo.
Joey plays a woman's asshole like a kazoo.
I still got it, though.
Yeah.
I still got
What,
it.
is there a particular song that you play through a woman's asshole with the kazoo effect?
I could do it.
What song could you do?
Mary Had a Little Lamb. I'm going to play kazoo in your asshole and Mary Had a Little Lamb. I can't do the whole thing because I'm old enough and I get winded. But in my youth, I was a bad motherfucker. I can do it a cappella or with a fucking karaoke background.
Yeah.
That's how I roll. You know what I'm saying?
Do you try to get her asshole in tune first before you actually start the song?
Well, you gotta do different things. You gotta remove things and move stuff over because the wind blocks the pipe. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have your finger in a certain place because you have to put your finger in the asshole and then blow it. I can't do it because the asshole
Right.
adds a perfect fucking ambiance. It's
Let
like
me
a,
ask you a question. Have you ever gone down on a girl and there's like a piece of toilet paper stuck on her butt?
yes.
Yeah, what do you do? What's a man's thoughts?
It looked like somebody had blown a spitball into her ass. I told this story on the Joe Rogan podcast. This had to be 98. I'm at the Comedy Store. You know, they were talking about, I think I told it here too. They were talking about how, you know, there was a guy at the Comedy Store, not me. They were talking about some other guy that stole jokes and he would make chicks pay him $100 to go on stage. And I'm like, how crude. I go, I should at least get a blowjob. You just tell them right now, what's the story? You gotta suck dick or you're gonna get on stage. And girls are into it. They don't care. It's like part of their whole mystery. You know what I'm saying? They just don't want to tell you. And I had this little blonde, cute girl that was just cute and hot. And I never knew she was fucking nuts. I just thought she was a regular, cute, blonde girl. And she'd come up to me and go, hey, who's on the belly room tonight, whatever. And I don't know these people. Can you talk to them? I go, just go upstairs and tell them. And she'd go, I think if you tell them, it'd be better for me. What if I suck your dick real quick? I mean, she was a fucking blast.
Shut up.
She was a blast. She was a blast, this girl. And then, like, she sucked my dick once, and I didn't say nothing. I was like, that was fucking too crazy for me. But that's L.A., you know? And then she came up, like, 3 months later, and she did it again. And then another time she came up, and this was the night she goes, you're not going to put me up upstairs. I go, what can I tell you? I'm not going up till later either. You know, in those days, I used to get 1 o'clock in the morning spots. I just happened to be there at 9. In case there was a fallout, I could get in there and get the fuck out of there. So she comes over to me, and I'll never forget this. This is one of those nights that can only happen at the Comedy. So she comes over, and she's like, do you know I can get some cocaine? And I'm telling you, I looked at this girl, and I'm like, you don't do fucking coke, do you? And she's like, all the time. I've been doing it. She was from Georgia or Mississippi or one of those southern states. She spoke with a draw, you know. And I go, I don't know. And she had pretty nice titties, like model titties that went up in the air. And she had a nice little body and a pretty little face, you know. And I was very lucky. And we started talking, and she goes, well, I'll buy if you fly. And I'm like, it's right there. It's the door guy. She goes, still, I don't want no drama. What can we get? And I go, I think he sells grams for $100. The kid used to sell 20s. He gave us 7 20s for $100. So she goes, do you want one, or do you want to come home with me? And I'm like, I don't care. And she goes, come on home. And she lived by the Hollywood Bowl, right behind the Hollywood Bowl, like a left behind there.
Yeah.
She had like a cottage in the back, and we went in. And
Those
this chick,
kind of chicks always have a cottage in
and
the
let me
back.
tell you what this chick did. Let me tell you how cool she was, what I liked about her. She came out, she goes, you want a cocktail? Yeah. She made me a cocktail. We did 2 lines of Coke, and she came out, and she goes, I'm going to tell you something what I'm going to do. I'm going to suck your dick right now to get it over with. Don't ask me the rest of the night. And she sucked my dick, and then we hung out and talked and smoked cigarettes, and we drank and drank. We did every fucking bag of Coke in there. We had like maybe 2 left and about 5. Now, they're picking me up at 9 to go to Fresno to do comedy with Paul Rodriguez. I'll never forget this. And you know what? Blowjobs are fun. But after a while, you want to tear it up a little bit. So at this point, she had sucked my dick maybe twice. And I go, listen, the party's over. I got to eat something too. I got a mange too. Let me lick that little monkey. And she's like, well, I kind of have my period. I don't give a fuck. Just take your panties off so I can suck your titties and play with your ass or something. You know what I'm saying? And when I bent her over, like I put her on her stomach and I spread her legs, she had a fucking spitball connected to like one of the, and it wasn't a dingleberry. There's a big difference between a dingleberry and a spitball. This was like a little marble size, and it was like covering her asshole. It was right there, but it was a fucking circular ball. I don't know how it got there. And you know me, I just flicked it up, fuced did what I had to do. I flicked it up in the fucking air.
I'm in a gag.
I ate her little ass. And Mark Babbitt picked me up, and I got in the car.
And Mark Babbitt picked me up, and that's how that story should end.
That story picked me up at 9 a.m., bright and
Awesome.
fucking dandy.
Wow.
But never like, no, like a piece of toilet. That's disgusting. Then you gotta say something. I found a piece of aluminum foil inside a girl's ass one time, like a
Are
Hershey
you
bar.
serious?
I swear to God.
I
swear to God, something was hitting my unit as I was banging her, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And you know, when you take your dick out, the hole stays the same. It looks like a cave. I put my fingers in there, And I took out like this little piece of aluminum foil. You know me? I put it on the side and just kept giving her a little fucking stab. And she must have eaten like a Hershey bar or something. She was an exotic dancer. She was fucking nuts. I never asked. You know what I'm saying? I would never embarrass somebody and say, "Hey, I took a piece of aluminum foil out of your ass. What do I get?" You know what I'm saying? What do they do in the
I'm
VIP room?
just trying to envision you were fucking a girl.
In the muffler.
Was scraping your penis.
Something was scraping my
and
penis.
Like,
I couldn't figure out what it was.
I'm a man. I'll investigate. And you go down there.
I took out my fucking dick. I was
go
going to put it in a little muffler. Why are we talking about this shit?
Because I can't believe you're telling me you took a piece of it. How do you know it was Hershey's bar foil?
Because it was soft. It wasn't like aluminum foil that was hard. It was like that soft foil.
It was soft foil?
Like soft. She was a freak. I don't fucking know. Maybe she put something in her ass on a different night. I don't fucking know. I'm not going to ask. She was letting me fuck her in the ass. Listen, when somebody lets you fuck them in the ass
this
and
is
they're
her
cute.
in her ass.
Yeah, I
was
fucking
talking about her pussy.
No, I was fucking her in her
ass. So now
the
story is...
That's crazy.
Now the story is you're fucking a girl in the ass.
In the ass.
And you feel something
This is in
scraping
Seattle
the
in
side of your
'95.
dick,
Summer of '95.
And you stop and you're like, I'm a man. I must investigate.
No, I just
and
stuck my finger in her ass and it was like a little ball of aluminum foil. Like that soft from a Hershey's bar. Like the inside coating.
I just can't even.
I know. Listen,
how a girl eats chocolate so fast that there's aluminum stuck in her
broad
asshole.
was fucking crazy. She was good looking. She was crazy. I never asked questions. Yeah. This is the same broad that I was.
You never said, "Hey, how'd this aluminum?"
This is the same broad. I was finger banging with a bottle of Bottles and James wine cooler, and the period came out of it when I had the bottle and her little monkey. Do you remember that story in Seattle? I was fingering her from behind. I said, "Let me just take the little Bottles and James." I started working her with her. I mean, she was crazy. This chick was down for anything at any time. She was phenomenal, beautiful. We moved here together. She was great. She let me do with her, light her on fire, anything. Yeah. She was great.
Right. Was there anything else you found?
Nah, that was it.
That was it.
I found a note, you know.
A note. Dear Joey.
Dear Joey.
I really don't like anal.
She was crazy. She was fucking nuts. I still talk to her from time to time. I thought if I put in this sharp
piece of foil and it cut your penis, you would stop fucking my ass.
She was fucking crazy. We moved in together here. It was a fucking nightmare. I took her to Miami one time, and I told you, she's like, "Listen, I want you to smack the fuck out of me." And I remember like sitting there like going, "Come on, are you fucking serious?" She's like, "No, do it." And I would smack her halfway hard, and she was like, "Dog, you better get your shit together. Bring it." Wow, this is craziness. Yeah. And trust me, after you do it...
It just can't end well, right?
No, like 3 days. Well, you know how we ended up? We ended up fighting on Kherson. I had a piece of prime rib in my hand, and she had a fucking mace.
And who won that battle?
I think I ran away when I heard the sirens coming.
Did you run with the prime rib?
Fuck yeah, I had just bought it for a barbecue.
Oh, really?
And she wants to break up with me. Bitch, I'm taking this prime rib. It was like $40. Shit, you know me, I'm a half a Jew. I don't fuck around, dog. That shit's going with Papa. How about some love for our sponsors?
Skin Industries. Please go to Skin Industries to get all your fine sporting apparel, right? They are a leader in that.
And AdamandEve.com, a leader.
For sex toys.
A dildo, sex toys, posters, fingers up your ass, butt plugs.
To drive to Santa Monica to get that, you know.
You don't have time to mug somebody or nothing like that.
That was kind of charcoal colored and glistened. You don't have time, just order it. It'll come to you free.
So go to AdamandEve.com right now. Order and press in FELICIA.
The shipping will be free.
And you'll get some gifts and all that shit. Felicia, it was another fun-filled podcast.
It was another fun-filled podcast.
We got to learn about assholes and aluminum foils and fucking Pittsburgh and my man Monkey Todd, who I love. And to anybody who listens to us, thank you very much. And like I said, when Felicia goes out of town these next couple of weeks, come on out, say hello. You know, tell her you love her. Tell her you want to eat her monkey. You want to hear about her scratching her monkey, whatever.
Well, I'll just.
And she's bringing T-shirts with her to give away. So don't forget that stuff either. And we'll talk next week, people. You know we love you. Felicia, throw him a kiss. That's a fucking kiss. Stay black.